I never thought the word funny could sound like a warning shot, but that's exactly what it felt like that evening at my parents' house. The dinner table was littered with half-eaten plates and half-empty glasses, the kind of mess that usually followed laughter and comfort. Emma, my sister, had just announced she'd be crashing at my place for a few weeks until her new apartment was ready. My parents chuckled, saying, "Perfect, Jason's got all that space and no one to share it with." They said it like a joke, like my life was public property, like my boundaries were optional. I remember setting my fork down slowly, my jaw tightening before I even registered it. "Funny," I said, standing up. Just one word, flat, sharp, was enough to drain the warmth from the room. The laughter died where it stood. I'd always been the quiet one, the dependable one. The son who didn't argue, didn't refuse, didn't make waves. Emma, though, she was the storm everyone adored. Always late, always asking, always forgiven. My parents called it charm. I called it exhausting. But lately, something in me had started to harden. Maybe it was age. Maybe it was living alone long enough to hear my own thoughts echo. Or maybe it was realizing that every sure I said when I meant no carved away another piece of me. My father frowned. "What's wrong with you? It's just your sister." I took a breath. "It's never just my sister." The words came out calm, but inside I was shaking. Not from fear, something older. Fatigue. A kind that builds over years of being the steady one. I saw confusion flicker across my mother's face before irritation took its place. "She needs help, Jason. Be a good brother." I almost laughed. That phrase, "be a good brother," had covered a lifetime of favors. Lending money I'd never see again. Fixing her car. Bailing her out of apartments she couldn't afford. Answering 2 a.m. calls when her relationships fell apart. "Being a good brother doesn't mean being a doormat," I said quietly. No one spoke. The only sound was a fork slipping against porcelain. Emma glanced at her phone, pretending not to exist. My dad leaned back, studying me. "You've changed," he said, accusation hiding behind disappointment. "Yeah," I said. "I had to." He sighed, that long exhale that meant I'd failed to meet expectations I never agreed to. Something inside me cracked, not from anger, but recognition. Because for the first time, I understood their version of love wasn't unconditional. They didn't love me. They loved my obedience. I walked to the kitchen, rinsing my plate under the running water. The silence behind me grew thick enough to hum. My mother mumbled something about families sticking together, but her voice already sounded distant. I dried my hands and turned. "Families should go both ways, Mom. I've shown up for everyone. Who's ever shown up for me?" No one answered. I left that night without dessert, without hugs, without the usual drive safe. Just the sound of my own footsteps echoing down the hall. When I reached my car, I sat there for a while, staring at the dash, replaying the moment I said funny. It didn't feel funny anymore. It felt like reclamation. Like I'd finally said something that belonged to me. The next morning, I woke up to 3 missed calls and 2 texts from Emma. The first read, "You were rude last night." The second, "I'm still coming. Mom said you'll let me stay." I stared at the screen, pulse tightening. Old Jason would have sighed and said yes just to keep the peace. But peace had already cost me too much. I typed one word back. No. Then I set my phone down, made coffee, and for the first time in years, the silence in my apartment didn't feel lonely. It felt earned. But peace, I learned, never comes cheap. By noon, my phone was ringing again. By evening, my mother was knocking at my door. "Jason," she said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. "You're being selfish. Your sister needs you." I met her gaze.
"No, Mom."
"You need me to keep being the one who never says no." Her face tightened. "That's not fair."
"It isn't," I said.
"But it's true." She stood there in my living room like she owned it, her eyes scanning the clean counters, the quiet order I'd built, like she was looking for proof that solitude meant something was wrong with me. "You always were dramatic," she said at last. "It's just a few weeks. Don't turn this into a big thing." I leaned against the doorway, calm but hollow. Mom, it's never just a few weeks. It's always a few weeks that turn into a few months. And then I'm the villain for wanting my life back. Her lips pressed into a thin line. Your sister's had a rough time. She's not as strong as you. I almost laughed. I'd heard that script my entire life. How I was the strong one, the dependable one, the one who could handle anything. But I wasn't strong. I was just quiet. Maybe that's the problem, I said softly. You all think strength means never asking for help, never saying no. Mom shook her head, irritated now. You're overreacting. This family's always supported each other. No, I said. This family's always used me and called it support. Her eyes widened, like she couldn't believe I'd said it out loud. You're being cruel. No, I whispered. I'm just being honest. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she sighed, sharp and weary, reaching for her purse.
Fine.
I'll tell your father you've changed. I hope you're happy, Jason. I'm not, I said quietly, but I'm trying to be. She left without another word. The door clicked shut behind her, and the sound felt final, like the end of something that had been crumbling for years. That night, I barely slept. My mind kept circling every time I'd said yes when I meant no. Every birthday I'd canceled plans for, every weekend lost fixing Emma's chaos, every bit of guilt I'd swallowed for daring to want peace. The next morning, my phone buzzed. Dad. I hesitated before answering. His voice was calm, too calm. You made your mother cry. I closed my eyes. That wasn't my intention. Then what was, he snapped. To stop breaking myself just to keep everyone else comfortable, I said. Silence. For a moment, I thought he'd hang up. Then, quietly, he said, You know your sister doesn't mean to cause trouble. She just doesn't think.
I know, I said.
And maybe that's the problem. No one ever made her think. You just made me fix it. Another long pause. Then, almost reluctantly, he said, You're not wrong. It wasn't an apology, but it was something. After we hung up, I went about my day. Groceries. Laundry. Dishes. Nothing special, but everything felt different. The air in my apartment was lighter. The silence didn't hum with tension anymore. It breathed. A week passed. No calls. No visits. Just quiet. Strange, but peaceful. Then one evening, there was a knock. When I opened the door, Emma stood there, suitcase in hand. Mom said you'd say no, she said, eyes tired. I didn't believe her. I didn't respond. She glanced past me into the apartment she'd always assumed was hers, too. You really mean it, don't you? I do, I said. I'm done being everyone's safety net. Her expression shifted, not anger, just quiet surprise. I guess I never thought you'd actually stand up to them. Neither did I admitted. She gave a small, dry laugh. Funny. The word landed like an echo from that dinner table, but this time, it didn't sting. It just settled between us, soft and final. Yeah, I said. Funny. She hesitated for a moment, then turned and walked away. No drama. No yelling. Just the quiet roll of suitcase wheels fading down the hallway. I stood there long after she was gone, the door still open, the evening light stretching across the floor. It wasn't the ending I imagined, but it felt right. Sometimes peace doesn't come from fixing what's broken. Sometimes it's realizing you can stand tall among the pieces. That night, I made dinner for one.
Turn off my phone.
No noise. No guilt. No pretending. Just quiet. And for the first time, that quiet didn't sound like loneliness. It sounded like freedom.